Alright guys, welcome back. Let's get down to this, breaking down this week's trades, taking a look at the news, taking a look at what we need to know going into the next week, and then gonna play around maybe with the stream, little Overwatch, who knows. We'll see what happens. Let's do this.
You're gonna play Overwatch?
I might do that at the end. We'll see. Can you do me a favor, Rita? Can you hop onto Twitch and see if there is like an echo on the audio at all?
Yes.
Alright, so let's start with taking a look at the week. And let's go with... okay, I don't think I want to open that up on stream, right? So let me go over here. What is up, Anthony? What's up, Polite Burger? Martini, thank you. No echo, can just hear fans in your keyboard, but it's fine. Okay, good. So, yeah, I mean, if the fans get obnoxious, I'll try to lower it a little bit. I guess that's the big problem with taking RTX off, is that those fans are there now. Maybe I do have to put RTX back on. I'll have to do that tomorrow, though. Okay, so let's see here. This is open now. Let's go in here. This historical orders last 7 days. All right, so growing positions. ACRX. ACRX is a big one that I clearly am taking more and more and more in. The play on ACRX, so when we go over here, let's go here. ACRX has a couple of different things going for it. So what I'm looking at with ACRX is they had the news about their morphine replacement, Dasuvia. Department of Defense picked that up. They're taking a serious look. Well, not a serious look. They have an order in for $30 million just for the Army already. So this company's very, very small market cap. We're talking 113 million market cap right now. They've got an order for $30 million already in the pipeline. Like I just like when the DoD says, yes, you have contracts, here you go. There's also a back and forth going on between Lajola, Tetraphase, ACRX, and one other company. So let's check out Tetraphase. Tetraphase Pharma. Head into the news here. Guys, really it's just about hanging out today and doing a breakdown of what kind of I did throughout the week, and then if you guys want me to take a look at different things going on in the market, I'm happy to do some due diligence here with you. Probably finish up the stream later today, breaking into a whole bunch of other things, gaming or whatever else. Okay, so let's go tools, set this for the past week. So this was Friday. So whoever this Malinta wants a piece of this now. So this is a four-party bid war on Tetraphase. So I think Tetraphase is going to see some growth next week, but Tetraphase for me isn't the play. Okay, Lajola is submitting 22 million with a CVR. This new deal from Malinta is by far the best of them all. ACRX doesn't really care either way. We just need news of this to drop because Tetraface cancels their deal. ACRX gets an $800,000 payout from Tetraface for canceling a deal that's already inked. So they can go with Malinta if they want. That's fine. But the reality is that you're going to be paying ACRX out. Even worse, they've got an agreement with ACRX that they are going to pay into this one way or the other. So ACRX is going to sell Tetraphase's portfolio. That's already there. The sales teams are trained, and vice versa. Tetraphase has agreed to sell ACRX's portfolio. That includes Tasuvia, which means whether Lajola buys them out or Malinta buys them out, it doesn't matter. Whatever the company is that's assuming that takes on that contract and that burden as well, and they will be selling ACRX's product for ACRX, which is fantastic. It's exactly what I like to hear. So, maybe RTX. So yeah, that's our ACRX. Definitely built my position there. Got out of CRDF. I did exit some positions. Just looking to get out and move that money into some other play. So I exited Surf. I exited CRDF. I exited GNCA. GCA I took a profit on. CRDF I took a profit on. Surf I took a loss on, but I needed that. And this is why. This is the one that I got into at the end of the week here. Yeah, I did go in and out of Waiter, got some gains on the ups and downs of that. But I also I entered into a GameStop position, and I know a lot of people are going to look at me like I'm nuts, but I think that that's the big one that I actually want to talk about right now. So GameStop is one that I have not been a fan of for a long time. Its whole business model, everything about it, I'm not a huge fan of it. But so he's got Michael Burry's a big name, guys. Michael Burry's the big short guy, for those of you that don't know. And Michael Burry is the guy that just saw the entire market about to collapse before it goes in. So when Michael Burry says, let's take a look at this, let's see what this stock is doing, I at least like to perk up. It's especially huge when I see a stock like GameStop that the market has declared you are dead, you will never rise again, right? I mean, I'm thankful today. I've got Martini and Redemption kind of hanging out with me today in here. So if you guys don't know Martini Rita, you definitely want to check her out. She's somebody that I value her opinion very much. So if you're not checking her out yet, you definitely want to do that. But yeah, she helps kind of just soundboard and vice versa. So taking a look at Michael Burry and GameStop, what do you guys think? Yeah, it looks like. I'm going to pull it back up here.
Not gonna lie, I went full fangirl on him liking my tweet.
As you should. I would fangirl too. I'd lose it.
Okay, so they filed like 13 lowered its stake to, so he's he's trimming.
I think he took. I think he's reducing his position to get down below the 5%, so it's not so people can't see. Is that?
Yeah, people do
I think he's just lowering his position so people aren't so aware of what he's doing. But his guidance on this was he wants to see them buy back stock with their cash. He wants to see them reduce their leases, sell and lease back some of its properties, as well as increase buyback. So yeah, Michael Burry's pushing for GameStop to get out of the physical locations. You don't need as many as you have, right? So one GameStop per city is a physical location. It's fine, and then drive online orders. And if you have to pick up hardware, you go into that store. You have direct delivery. I think Michael Burry's trying to influence GameStop to move more digital and into the online space.
I don't know enough about GameStop.
I mean, I know yesterday he was tweeting about the PS5 announcement, right?
Yeah, he's looking into it. But see, the thing is, like, game engines, they rarely look like those little previews that they do. Rarely look like a game, right? Because the underlying the PS5 can't handle what the rendering is that they create. You know, it's like Fugazi or whatever.
Oh, they took his.
What I don't understand here is why it says here on Dataroma that he actually added to his position.
As of
Except it
when?
says-
Shoot me the link. I'll open it up. Silver KV, I motivate you to self-motivate. It's Saturday, man, so go learn something. You can stay here and learn something. You can go read a book, but get out there and do it on your own, man. It's not my job to spoon-feed you. It's my job to get you pumped to go do things and showing you what this actually looks like and how simple that can be. That's what we're looking at. That's what we want to do. Martini is too low, apparently. They can't hear you.
So
Okay.
this is what I usually look at. I guess I'll put millennial motivate me. Hey Silver, what's up?
Okay, hopefully that's better. Hopefully you guys can hear Martini now. No, I motivate people to go better themselves. I tell people that they need to
If you're
go
talking
figure
to
things
me,
out.
then I can't hear you.
Yeah, no, I'm talking to Silver KV. And he needs to get the motivation to better himself. He's trying to grasp what that looks like to be a motivated millennial.
Oh, Gossfather rated. Hey, Goss.
Thanks, Goss. You're such a nice guy.
Are you about to call him Gossy Poo? Because that would be
No,
awesome.
I didn't go that far. But hopefully they can. Hopefully they can hear you now, because Goss was saying that you weren't audible before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I sent you that link, and it said updated. I thought it said right there updated. On the front of it, but when you go into it, I don't think it actually is updated. So.
Where'd you send the link?
In the Twitch stream? Should I have put it in Discord instead?
Okay, so where... Oh, I just put the ticker in here? Interesting. As of when, though? Like, what is the timeline on this?
As of the last filing date, but it said updated May 15th, but I don't think it actually did. But even though this, it takes like a few days for it to get into here, but it's kind of interesting to see it all laid out like that.
Yeah, I mean, look how far back. How far back has Michael Burry been in this? Since Q2 2019. Yeah, there's no insider trading here. This is all publicly available information, but I am showing people how you can find this information and the value of it for sure.
It might be the site updated, but not like the filing updated. So
Yeah.
Okay, so he sold 100% of his position in Q2. And then Q3, he bought back in 3 million shares. Reduced his sizing again by, what is that? 3 million by a fifth. So 20% down. And then added another 27% back. Interesting. It's got to be.
Price history.
Yeah, it's got to be. It has to be his play. Is he's playing on this Christmas and he's playing on the new systems coming. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Well, if you read his initial report on it, he was just saying that the cash inside the company doesn't reflect the stock price, right? Like the cigar butt. Have you ever heard of that?
No. I'm not a huge fan of communism, no. That's correct.
So the cigar butt is a strategy that certain investors employ, like dead companies, right? Where people aren't good at valuing it because it's a dead company, nobody's paying attention kind of idea. And the cigar butt is the idea that there's still a little bit of smoke left, meaning that an example is that the cash inside the company is worth more than the stock is worth, right?
Right.
On intrinsic value. So that's what I remember reading. I don't know if he's changed his thought. Maybe he's changing his thought because the tweet was, tell me what this means, right? Tell me what the Unreal Engine, the new version of the Unreal Engine coming out means, right? For gamers. And my response was, I think more important is that they changed their pricing strategy. Meaning, so the way the Unreal Engine works is anybody's free to use it, except you owe them 5% of your game revenue, right? If you use it. And the entire industry uses it. So they changed it so that the first 1 million of the revenue is not due to them. So I think what they're trying to do is encourage indie game growth. And they also reduce their royalty payment. So I don't know. I think maybe they're trying to price out, who's their competitor? Fuck.
Walmart?
No, for Unreal Engine. There's another game engine.
Oh, I don't know. Why do I wear a hat indoors? That way I don't have to do my hair for you guys. You know what I mean? Also, Keeper is a sponsor of a lot of the stuff that I do as far as content creation. So Keeper is something that I use professionally for all my passwords as a digital marketing consultant.
So it would lend credence to your theory that he's thinking maybe we're going into fall. In combination with your theory about the greed that's going to come about in Christmas time.
Yeah, like I'm positive on the greed with us coming out of this. They're not sponsoring the stream. No, they're just they sponsor a lot of the work that I do with my digital marketing side of the business, so I like to just wear it on stream. They're not sponsoring this stream. But, I mean, hat is hat, have to cover head. Might as well wear one of somebody who has been supportive of my marketing consultation for a while now. So, happy to have them up there. But yeah, the hat is on the head because the hair is an abomination. Yeah, I mean, what I'm looking at here is, so 2013 is when the last PlayStation console war happened. So November 15th, 2013.
Can you zoom in on the recent stuff? Yeah, Unity, that's the one. God.
GameStop didn't really soar on the last console drop. 2013, December, it dropped. I don't know if that's because of... I mean, there's a buy-up into that season, but then it collapsed from under itself. What happened with the PlayStation release? I think NVIDIA is legitimate. I think semiconductors more and more are going to be just a reality. NVIDIA, AMD, Micron, those are just become regular staples in the tech industry, if they're not already considered that. PS4 early release. How do you get... Yeah, I mean, I'm not sold on Unity. Pre-sales, PS5. Okay, so there's no pricing on the PS5 yet. Pre-sales of the thing start...
But what is the online stuff that GameStop is doing? Like, do they have any real, like, there's no gamer that I know that goes to GameStop to get their shit. Like,
So, I mean, with consoles, the thing with every new console that comes out, especially when there's low volume as far as the inventory, right? Is whether people like it or not, they're going to want a PS5. And they're like, oh, well, I'll just buy it from Amazon or Walmart. That's going to sell out. Whoever has a PS5 in stock is going to sell it. That's going to happen. Same thing with the Xbox. Whoever has one in stock is going to sell it. That first shipment always sells out. So, I mean, that's not even a concern for me. The bigger thing is, like, when do these start to happen? So it says June, July, you get a notification. So this is going to start to go up at the start of Q3. Is that, so where are we here? We're May. So January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah, so early Q3, we're going to start to see numbers on people pre-ordering this thing. Both of them.
but a PS5 is a loss leader. Are you saying that the incremental sales from them just going to their site, I guess?
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, we are going to give away... It's McDonald's with the dollar drink thing in the summer, right? You can come to McDonald's and get any drink you want for $1. Come on in. And everybody comes in, and who just gets a drink for $1? Nobody. They buy something else with it, right? And that's why McDonald's does that. Or the free coffee day at McDonald's. If you show up at McDonald's to get your free coffee in the morning, you better believe you're going to buy yourself that Egg McMuffin too, right?
Kind of like how they started offering Wi-Fi. They noticed that people are staying a lot longer. The longer people stay, the more they buy.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that... I mean, because it's PS5 and Xbox at the same time, right? So there's going to be an increase in sales. GameStop's sales, let's look at their last earnings.
You should also look at their pre-order link and see how easy it is.
It's not open yet. So they're saying that they're having a really strong delivery right now with curbside orders and pickups. That's a big number. GameStop says it's retained over 90% of its planned sales. That's huge compared to other retail, right?
So I'm not super great at retail. What is a planned sale?
It's their forecast. It's what they're projecting they're projecting on their past earnings. Okay, so they dropped executive pay, temporary furlough for corporate staff, reduced work week pay programs, lowered capital spending, focus on mandatory maintenance or near-term high-value strategic projects. That's just business talk for bullshit. So that doesn't mean anything. The company continues to expect it has sufficient liquidity and financial flexibility to navigate the current environment. So they still have decent cash on hand.
I haven't read their balance sheet, but doesn't GameStop make most of their revenue from just resale of like trade-ins?
I know they fleece gamers on the trade-ins for sure.
Definitely.
CEO buys 25,000 shares. That doesn't really mean anything. Shorts versus Burry plays on. He's getting headlines for buying this. Okay, let's look at the annual SEC filing. So this is the fun part of stocks, guys, where you actually read the SEC filing. You actually read through these.
God says I'm already selling inventory.
Okay, so here's the SEC filing. This is all just general nothing. Merchandise, hardware, software, collectibles, pop, video game, trade-in programs, store locations. $5,500 stores open.
Basically, the only reason you go to GameStop is because you're desperate.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm okay to buy on desperation.
Which says gamers might be petty, but when push comes to shove, they're willing to pay that 200 to 500% premium.
You don't look at me like that.
Sorry.
It's
Hi,
okay.
Munchkin.
Everybody says hi. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
What do you think? Does the stock go up or down?
Up.
Oh, there you go. So I'll be streaming until like 1:32. Okay. She always says the stocks go up, though. It's not solid, DD. She's a long player. She doesn't like it when stocks go down.
Right, she has to have gotten it from somewhere.
She just hears Dad yelling at the computer. Long equity. I am not playing options. Yeah, you guys think that one's cute. You should see this one. Hello. Hello. Yes. What's this? Hey.
Aww.
What's this?
Rad.
Can confirm stocks only go up. Buffett agrees. Unless you're an airline and then you crash and burn. Unless you're BA and Saudi Arabia has decided they're going to swoop in and just pay for all your losses.
Yeah? Why? Yes, Mama.
Okay, so Sony and Microsoft sales accounted for 28 and 18% of their sales overall. Oh, no, that's not right. Nintendo accounted for 28% of their sales. Sony and Microsoft are only 24% of their sales. So a quarter of their sales are going to come off of that. They don't care about Europe and the UK right now. That's not a focus. Yeah, this is why Bury is encouraging them to drop locations, because all of their retail stores are located in leased premises. They don't own the real estate. They don't own the property. So, I mean, it's just, it's this constant drain on their finances. They are closing stores that aren't meeting performance metrics. Okay, so they had senior notes coming due in March 2021. But that's a while out, because I think that I would be... Like, we're talking GameStop in Q4 is what we're looking at. I mean, so that's good. They don't have any debts coming due through until... Yeah, Goss, you have to at this point, right? You have to make that...
You know they have a streaming platform?
No way,
Spawn
GameStop?
Labs? Yeah, bro. And a streaming technology company, Spawn Labs.
Interesting, because this thing here says GameStop closes its game streaming division in 2014.
Why do they have it on their 10K?
GameStop announces Spawn Labs. GameStop shutters Spawn Labs cloud streaming outfit. Okay. Yeah, interesting. I mean, they must just still be paying down the cost of that acquisition this many years later? I don't know.
Possible, yeah. I was looking at subdivisions.
They're based out of Brampton. That's interesting. Okay, net sales were down huge in 2019. So that doesn't make it a very tough number to beat as far as year-over-year results. Wow. They won't say closed. Number of stores that were opened and disposed of during fiscal 2019.
Dispose. What a word, bro.
Okay, so they disposed of 330 stores, which is a huge chunk. They took less losses in 2019 than they did in 2018, so closing down stores is working, which is why Bury's pushing them to do more of that. $500 million cash on hand, $270 million available in borrowing capacity under revolving credit. Okay, so if they had no sales, or they had a similar year to last year, they've got enough cash on hand to have another brutal year like they had in 2019. They haven't released... Have they released their Q1?
They own ThinkGeek? No way.
Yeah.
Okay, they beat on their Q1. Earnings surprise of 450%.
I think he was publicly traded before they acquired it.
I mean, here it says the video game industry has historically been cyclical and is affected by the introduction of next-generation consoles, which could negatively impact the demand for existing products or our pre-owned business. I think we're thinking of this incorrectly. New shit means they don't make money on the old shit.
Yeah, but what you're not taking into account is the way that they had the breakdown of the different gaming companies, right? 28% of their income came from Nintendo. So Nintendo doesn't have a new platform coming out, right? It's just Microsoft and Sony.
What percentage was it again?
It was 28 for Nintendo, 18 for Sony, 6% for Microsoft. So I actually see them gaining on Microsoft as far as sales go on this, right? New console, 6% is not a massive beast, right? That's nothing. You're not selling any Microsoft games, but now you'll actually see some Microsoft sales coming in on a new console. So I think that that's there. PS5 is going to be backwards compatible, so I don't see that really affecting their bottom line. And for the timeline I'm looking at anyway, into at its longest into February on this position. There's people that aren't going to be able to get their hands on a PS5. It's going to sell out. So people are still going to be playing their PS4 and buying PS4 games. They're going to have strong revenues through the year. So if I put all of these pieces together, I know that the demand is going to be up in Christmas. People are going to be buying new shit. This is going to sell out. They're going to have existing game sales. That's going to go up. Nintendo's going to drop their line. Let's see what Nintendo has in the pipeline for Christmas. I don't think they do DVD and Blu-ray, no. I think that... Let's go...
They've got a lot of floating rate credit that comes due November 2022.
Yeah, I'll be out by then. I'm looking. I'm talking like, let's look at this play as though it were an exit of mid Q1 2021. Like, this is not a year hold. This is 2 quarters out, maybe 3.
I'm curious, is there going to be any console exclusive games that are actually worth getting? And that's my question, because the only reason they would get this console is because if there is certain exclusives to it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go down on Nintendo here because they've said that they make almost 30% of their income on Nintendo. So I want to see here if there's anything big for Nintendo planned. Boyfriend Dungeon is coming out. I know that'll be a big one.
Ooh, Samurai Jack.
Where'd you see Samurai Jack? Where?
Oh,
yep.
Scrolls up.
To be determined, so no news on that. There's nothing really outlined yet. I guess we're still too early in the year for announcements on what exactly is coming out. I know that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 was announced for PS5 release. So that'll be a big one, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think, like, does it need to look good? Absolutely. Is Unreal 5 a big deal? I don't know that it's a huge deal because console gamers, let's be honest, if you want better graphics, you're using a PC. So if you're a console gamer, you just kind of take whatever comes with it. You want it to look good, but I mean, you're not gonna bitch and moan about what exactly it does. So I'm not huge on that. Okay, so let's see. PS5 exclusives. Okay, so they do have a bunch of these already announced. PS5 titles. So Cyberpunk is coming out, but that's on every platform. Warzone is already out. Godfall is like a Borderlands / God of War fantasy RPG with third-person melee. So this is a looter that is a PS5 exclusive from the Borderlands team. I think that one's going to do well.
Borderlands is such a moneymaker.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That'll be a big one.
Can someone explain to me why Assassin's Creed is a game that to me it's like every game is the same. Like I've never understood it.
It basically
Do
is.
any
It's
of
like
you play it?
it basically is. I stopped after when they went to like Native America and everything because I'll be fair, I hated Connor. He seemed like the weakest of all the assassins, but I heard it got better as they went. But I haven't played Odyssey or any of the newer ones. But
yeah, the Egypt one, the Egypt one definitely revitalized the franchise, and they decided they weren't going to bring new ones out every year. It was going to be every couple of years that they were going to bring them out. So that was a little bit better. And then the recent one that came out with the Greek Empire did quite well. And that was another one where it's like, okay, well, we're going to keep giving you updated content on this instead of just dropping a new game. Yeah, the Odyssey did well. I think Valhalla does well, too, given how well God of War did.
God of War, though, was a completely different game. It was like... It also had puzzles, like... I don't know. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game in a long time.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed's got that element to it as well. But just, I'm talking that shift into Norse mythology seems to do well. Untitled Harry Potter RPG, you know that's money.
Games that historically don't do well, that are after movie franchises, with the exception of Star Wars.
Silent Hill, that's a big title.
Reasons to Buy now in horrifying 8K.
Metal Gear Solid 6.
Ooh, Ratchet and Clank, that's a good staple.
Call of Duty Black Ops 5. Horizon Zero Dawn, that's a big one. That's a good one.
I can't wait till that hits the PC.
Ghost of Tsushima. God of War 2, that's a big one. Exclusive. PS5 exclusive, God of War 2. I think that's a fantastic... Final Fantasy 7. That's already out, though. Ooh, Elder Scrolls 6. Ha, PC level performance. Ha ha ha. I will never believe that when I see that on a console announcement. PC level performance. Who's PC? You can't Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls is just so much bloody money. Lord of the Rings Gollum. It's not exclusive, though. Sniper Elite is meh. Dying Light is meh. GTA 6.
Are
That's
they-
it.
Aren't they trying to push for like more VR stuff? Like, does the PS well, the next PlayStation 5 have like anything VR related? Or
It does have VR, but I mean, if you're gonna do VR, you go get an Oculus. Let's be honest. You're not doing PlayStation VR. Their Super Smash Brothers ripoff has another one coming out. I'm sure that'll be a huge seller.
Hey, Duke. Hi, Impeccable.
Well, they're saying it's for Duke. They're saying it's for the PS5 release. Like, these are the PS5 games that have been confirmed. League of Legends, Wild Rift. Oh,
that'd be bad.
League of Legends is coming to consoles? What?
That's huge. That is so. That's huge. Not even kidding. That's huge. Not even joking. That's. Yeah.
New Batman game?
When are they saying that it's coming out? World League of Legends thing? Is that for? They all target Christmas.
2020 launch date. Sometime 2020, so it'll be around Christmas.
Ooh, I'm leaning in hard to games. Oh yeah. Bethesda's putting out a sci-fi game before Elder Scrolls.
Yes, Starfield, I think, is the Bethesda IP that he's talking about, that Duke's talking about there. Alright, guys, give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to go grab some coffee, and I will be right back. Yeah, 60 seconds. I'll be back.
I have this theory that if GameStop does like, because they have a lot of cash on hand, if they just like supported indie devs or something like that, because all you need is just one. It's like angel investing. You just need one of them to pan out to make back your investment and everything that you've lost beforehand. If they became a what was it, a publisher as well as a distributor.
Downstairs. Okay. Thanks, Abby.
So that's an millennial left, but
No, I'm here.
no. Are MOBA nerds console gamers though?
That's just
That's an
it.
important question.
I think traditionally they haven't been, because it's just been so terrible. I remember there was a Lord of the Rings MOBA for PS3, and it died on landing. Like, it was not good. But I mean, yeah,
It feels weird, especially in terms of micro, because it levels the playing field, because I can move a lot faster, and like my movement speed on the mouse is gonna be a lot different from someone else's movement speed. There's gonna be a lot of variation between. But for like the joysticks on the PlayStation controller, it's all the same speed. The only key difference is like your
I'm
reaction
leaving
time.
him in
That's
his
it.
bed. I'm leaving him in his bed.
Mhm. Okay, so I mean, who would be Walmart's a much bigger beast than GameStop. Is there another company that is similar to GameStop?
That
Amazon?
sells games.
Not similar, but they definitely compete, because you can just find, like, if you want some kind of product that relates to your game, you're gonna find it on Amazon.
Yeah, I get that, but Amazon's a bigger beast too, right? Like, I'm looking for something that's a direct equivalent that does gaming and collectibles.
Best Buy.
What's their ticker?
I think it's like BBY.
Interesting. So Best Buy wasn't phased by this at all. There was no decline on Best Buy. GameStop ate the dip with the rest of the market.
I think
Can you
Best
do
Buy
the
makes.
performance one? It'll normalize the prices.
I think
the
Best
bottom
Buy
line.
does. I think Best Buy makes a lot of their revenue through service, like the Geek Spot services. And that's probably why they haven't been so effective lately.
Sorry, how do I adjust that, Martini?
CNN GM performance. I don't know if that'll take all the tickers that you had it on there, but do you see that in the blue section?
Yeah, I got it.
Bluish gray section to the left.
Yeah, okay,
Sorry,
so...
I'm on a delay. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, so yeah, there's that.
Basically, what it does is it normalizes it, so that way, like, if you were to put $100 in this ticker, then that's what it do. But you would put $100 in the other ticker, so it really helps you compare, right?
I mean, this is super interesting right now, given that we're hearing that there was a record quarter on retail. GameStop beat on earnings Q1, so that's probably what this spike is here. It beat on earnings, but now it's seeing a decline again. People aren't expecting it to perform. I think that... Oh, man. Okay, so 2013, these spikes here are the console wars. These big spikes, and both of them saw a decline afterwards. So this is it, and then it spiked back up. But then Best Buy didn't have a crap company, and so it kept doing well. And GameStop has a crap company, so it went down.
Like Best Buy, as much as I hate Best Buy, they do some things right. Is which is their service department, like their Geek Squad service. I think they want to model it after kind of like how the Apple geniuses have their geniuses helping people. I think they kind of want to model their Geek Squad similar to that. I don't know who copied who first, but it's a really good model.
Okay, GameStop exclusives.
And I think Best Buy also sells the same like Funko Pops. Last I saw, last when we were able to go outside legitimately, I saw that they do sell those Funko Pops and like all these other collectibles as well.
Yeah, they do have a ton of collectibles. Like, I'm looking at it right now, what their exclusives are, and they do have convention exclusive Funko Pops coming, but that's not a huge amount of your sales. I was trying to see if they had...
Oh, talk about Best Buy.
Oh, Best Buy. Yeah, I mean, each of them are going to have exclusives. GameStop and Best Buy have exclusives. I'm looking at, like, do they still have video games? I remember in the past you got GameStop exclusives, right? Like, you'd get consoles with packages and special skins or whatever else.
It's been a while since I've even touched a console. I'm not a big collector, so I only have I have friends that do it, and these are the guys that would drive like 2 hours to I think it was like Poco or Porco or something like that, and they would wait in line for another 2 hours after that just to come back with just a single collectible doll or something.
No game exclusives. Interesting.
What about EB Games? That's another video game retailer.
GameStop is EB Games. I think they EB Games. GameStop, I think, acquired them like a couple of years ago. Because I've only ever seen EB. I didn't know they had them in the States.
Okay, so what I'm trying to wrap my head around here is a company with an enterprise value of almost $1 billion only worth $4?
Well, you have to multiply the price times the shares outstanding. big is it?
Well, I'm looking at it up here. I'm looking at the market cap and the enterprise value.
Yeah, 2005. EB Games is acquired. EB Games and GameStop merged. EB Games was offered $38.15 in cash, as well as a 3/4 of stock of GameStop stock for every one share of EB Games.
Okay. When was that?
October 6, 2005.
Yeah, that was a long time. Now we know how old I am.
Yeah, I was still in high school at the time.
Shut up. What about the online retailers? Like, you know, where everybody gets their fucking PC parts from?
I mean NCIX, because they're defunct now.
No. You know the PC part picker shit? What is that?
They have they don't actually own a site, but they have varying retailers. The ones in Canada and US are different. The people who took over for NCAX here, because they used to be both US and Canada, is Memory Express, I think. It's been a year or two since I built my computer. And I think in the States, you guys got like Micro Center, you guys got Best Buy, you got
Newegg.
Newegg.
That's
There
what
you
I
go.
was looking for.
But yeah, I forgot
What's
Newegg.
Newegg?
Newegg's very also multinational.
Is it publicly traded?
No, I don't think so. If it is, I'd be very surprised.
I mean, there's some interesting conjecture here that the Unreal 5 reveal is bigger in terms of people watching games online. The more realistic games start to look, the more people are willing to watch them on TV, is what a lot of these people in the comments are saying. That this is something that they would watch, even though they're not big into games. Which could mean that there's some more strength in regards to... could mean more in regards to, like, DraftKings, right? Who has online gaming, gambling. 5 million pre-orders for PS5. That number can't be real, because nobody knows what the pre-orders are. GameStop to 1,000. I'm fairly certain. I don't know what the price point is, but I don't think GameStop 1,000 is correct.
Yeah, I can't. I think it's private. Cannot find a ticker or anything.
Okay, time to talk, Walker. GameStop.
I found its owner. You're not gonna like it.
Who is it?
It's Hangzhou New Century Information Technology Company. Its ticker is SHE on the Hang Seng. So it's a Chinese company.
SHE.
Yeah.
North American exchange. It's not a great. It's not a great ticker actually.
Well, that's what it is on the Chinese stock market.
Just want to open up the word cloud here and see exactly what people are talking about when it comes to GameStop. Online, buy game, Amazon. Never good when your competitor is listed there. Major influencers are.
We need Hitch here. He's the expert of will people buy it.
This is from 21 hours ago. Online sales have spiked over 1,500% at GameStop retail.
Did you give him that walkie-talkie?
Oh.
So he got out of bed to get the walkie-talkie and got back in bed.
You did say they were doing well with their pickup strategy?
Yeah, curbside pickup is doing well. Online sales are up. Oh, look at that chart right there. Ooh.
Rainy, are you all done? What? Are you done? What? Is Steph home? Yeah, she's home. I'm just going to get,
You should see it on the screen now. That chart is very interesting.
What'd you do? I didn't do anything. It's just that his nails been falling off for like last week.
Holy shit!
It's really falling off now.
Right?
Y'all listen really well.
That's significant.
So I kept, well, she left once and then went back out. So she's up there with a couple of them.
Best Buy's up 500%, but they're not even scratching what GameStop is doing. Like, that's massive.
Why do they look how they say that? GameStop, on the other hand, was a much smaller player going in, so they do better. Remember we were talking about airlines in that theory?
Right. Yeah, those are more agile. The companies that are more agile are the smaller players, and because they're smaller players, they're holding less inventory. There's less risk. People are more inclined to use them. Now that's going to alleviate as we head into Q4 because people are just going to go back out and spread the virus, which means that. But I mean, if we head into Christmas and we see that reopening, I mean, they're talking about a vaccine as well, so you have to add that in there. I don't think we see a vaccine by Q4, though. I think we see that Q1, Q2 again, but there could be a risk of potential shutdown again, in which case this spikes into Christmas. This is from, this isn't April, though, so this wasn't reflected in their Q1. This will be reflected in their next earnings, right? So just on this, GameStop is looking like a really... I mean, that's huge. That's a good thing heading into their next earnings. So at the very least, I like the play that long. So I think that's out of the way of, like, do I like them into Q3? Yes. Now, Q3 is when we see... Yeah, I mean, so the roadmap on this... Now you're going to make me open up Paint here.
Aha, you have to do it too now.
I was going to straighten that line, but instead I'm just going to leave it like a little bit jagged. That way it messes with people's OCD. Okay, so what I'm looking at is they had okay, so from January, GameStop saw a decline, and then they started a recovery in May. I guess this is the question that I need to answer is why the decline through May?
Well, the 8K is out, so you can see into April.
This is the right one, right? Yeah, as of April 21st. Okay.
For the 5-week fiscal March period, Australia posted comparable store sales increase of approximately 64%.
They reduced their executive pays by 50%, 30%, the rest of the team by 50%, board of directors by 50%. Temporary furloughs. 1/3 of U.S. store locations will remain closed. 2/3 of stores closed to customers but available for curbside pickup. They've started reopening in Italy, Germany, Austria, South Carolina, Georgia. All stores in Australia remain open. %64 increase in Australia. That's a. I mean, Australia's not a massive market, though, right?
No, but at least you can see into the end of April, right?
Yeah.
What I don't like is why. Okay, so it's a sales update. Why did you only not want to talk about the U.S. sales, but you'll talk about the Australia sales? Seems weird.
For a 3-week period ended March 21st, the date when the company closed its stores to customer access, comparable U.S. store sales grew 3%. So they did address the U.S. The U.S. grew 3%.
Through March 21st. What about through April?
But I think that's where the article from the New York Times that we saw there becomes relevant, right?
I'm just saying it's unusual to release your sales update and not provide it to the date of the announcement. Or some period that's closer. I mean, I get it. It's hard to get all the fucking payroll systems updated, really.
I think I'm thinking about it as well as like, okay, so I'm in the position of a CEO of a struggling company, right? I'm releasing great numbers up until March, and then I'm not really giving people a lot of information, which is leading for a surprise heading into the next earnings on Q2. But look at that's insane. That is huge. This number of GameStop growth on online sales, like that didn't start until Earnest Research. Yeah, of course they pulled the report off of something that Yeah, they pulled it from an insight tool that looks at sales across the retail sectors. I mean, yeah, you got to pay to get into it. I think the big thing that is really standing out for me here is like April 1st, right? So everybody started to gain towards the end of March. Everybody saw gains, and everybody seemed like they were off and going, but GameStop just went meteoric. Like, they went vertical instead of sideways. They went absolutely vertical. Peaked at that 1,500, and then kind of mellowed a little bit, but still way above. Like, they stayed above this 1,000% increase all the way through April, and they're showing a trend to the increase, where the rest of these, about last week of April, started to decline again. Best Buy is declining, Newegg's declining, and GameStop is increasing. Why is that? That's what I need to figure out. Why is GameStop gaining on online sales? Yeah, it doesn't say what the online sales were.
Same thing with Best Buy.
Well, curbside pickup is possible. You know what? Maybe that's it. People got tired of waiting for stuff to come through Amazon. The delay on shipment. And so what they're doing is they're ordering online and doing curbside pickup with GameStop.
Yeah.
Actually, that makes sense too, because I mean, even with Amazon, it's like one or 2 day delivery. You still have to wait, and these guys are impatient.
Yeah, gamers don't want to wait. They want their game today. Like, they want it now.
Yeah, absolutely. I've literally driven across the entirety of the at rush hour because AJ wanted the fucking Switch, and I was like, I would wait 2 days, but I'm not a typical gamer. AJ is the typical gamer.
I mean, when I was in high school, I drove for 2 hours, and I keep using Port Coquitlam as an example, but it's like a dead town. No one ever goes there, and I knew it was perfect because everywhere else was sold out of the Burning Crusade expansion for WoW when it first released. I drove there. They had an entire rack of it. I would have preferred to get that than, like, you know, again, Amazon wasn't that big back in the day. I don't think they really did games, but I mean, I went that extra mile just to get it there and then. I didn't want to wait a week like my friends waiting for EB Games to get their copy and give it to them.
Do guess what were the online sales before?
Yeah, it doesn't really say what the online sales were. It doesn't outline that. This chart is just specific for March, and I can't expand this chart. I can't dive any deeper into it. All that I can see is, like, its comparables are Newegg, Best Buy, and Apple. Now, GameStop doesn't... Granted, I'll give you that the market share on GameStop isn't massive in January. It's not. But again, there's a disconnect here between these two charts, right? Like, you've got this shitty little bar here that's saying, okay, well, this is our market share in January. But then you've got a chart here that's displaying online sales increases over April. Like, these two aren't... I would love to see this graph for April. I want to know what GameStop's online share of market is in April.
Yeah, but usually this shit boils down to a very simple reason inside the customer brain, right? Is I could get it now.
Yeah, so does I can get it now continue with the economic reopening? No, because people are going to go outside. North America in the north is not shitty and cold anymore, so people are still going to game, but it's not going to be nearly what it was. So I don't think that we see sales continue like this in Q3, but headed into Q4, we are going to see this. When it gets cold and shitty again, the flu starts to come back, we see a resurgence in COVID. I think that this does go back up in Q4, which gives it, on the annual, an average Q1, a strong Q2, an average Q3, a strong Q4. That's going to have them up on the year. If they can close stores, which it seems like Burry is pushing them to do. I don't know how much sway he actually has, but 2 new consoles, that's going to increase their Microsoft sales. Nintendo's going to hold strong for them. You're going to have Sony probably stay about the same. So 20...
I mean, closing stores would just be a cutting cost, which again is good for investors, but this seems more like a customer kind of like a customer behavior play rather than what a bury play is, because bury play is more numbers and factual numbers and comparing them against something or inefficiencies and stuff like that. It doesn't seem like him to play a behavioral play.
Right, and so the numbers that I think he's looking at is like, is this company going to go bankrupt? No, they've got enough liquidity. So that answer's out of his head, right? Like, are they going to go bankrupt? No. And then he looks at, okay, well, are they going to sell a lot of crap? Yes. They're already selling a lot of crap through April. We saw that on that chart. We know that when new consoles come out, everybody sells out. Everybody. So yes, they're going to sell all of their new consoles out no matter what, because everybody does.
Where's the Google Trend data for Best Buy versus GameStop? I don't think it was really helpful, but interesting. Newegg not even close.
Yeah, Newegg's not even touching it.
Look at the highest query on GameStop though. There was some kind of pickaxe thing, which was interesting.
PS4, GameStop, near me, Xbox One, GameStop, top queries. Best Buy is iPhone, iPad, Best Buy login.
To me, that was interesting.
Black Friday and Newegg promo code. So people are just looking for discount codes on Newegg, which makes sense because they're an online only. You've got Best Buy where people are, I mean, I wonder how far down I've got to go here before I find... here we go. I'll switch to the top. No, top doesn't do anything. So you don't get PS4 Best Buy until number 9. Okay, so the play on this is we're heading into a season where people's greed is going to outrace their fear, which means new spending is okay, which means that those consoles and the upcoming console war, we're going to see all of that go well for these retailers, all of these retailers across the board. GameStop is leading the way, so if we see flu season and a resurgence of COVID, so maybe that's the next search I have to do, is what's the likelihood we see a resurgence of COVID into Q4? So South Korea, since opening up, is now grappling with some of the largest infection clusters yet after authorities began to loosen some social distancing restrictions this month. They're going to test the entire city of Wuhan. Oh, that's an interesting report. So apparently, So Wuhan lifted its lockdown measures in early April, and the city has had 35 days without a new case. But all of a sudden, several days ago, there's a small cluster that's erupted. And so they're going to test the entire city.
I'll be back. I'm gonna go edit this stuff.
All right, cool.
Since
Have
your
fun.
voice is on it, it's confusing the shit out of me.
Okay, so like South Korea and China, we can assume that they've actually had better lockdown measures than we have here because it's China and the military can make you do whatever they want. I don't necessarily believe the Wuhan numbers, but so do I believe the Wuhan data is accurate? No, I don't. But this that they're admitting that there's a cluster that's broken out, that's of note. That's definitely something worth watching. Of like, what are we looking at here? Why are they reporting that yes, they are seeing new numbers again in there? And I think it's because that just can't be avoided. That's going to leak. So as far as like the specificity of the data, no, specificity. Man, that word. The accuracy of the data, I don't believe the accuracy of the data at all. But do I believe that there is something happening there as a result of the lockdown being eased? Yes. South Korea is probably my more accurate indicator, but even with South Korea, they're seeing a resurgence. So if South Korea is seeing a resurgence in cases, I think that we can definitely say that we will be seeing some level of resurgence here in North America. So let's see what states have reopened. Okay, so there's the states. Here are the states that are reopening. Man, could it be more of like all of the Republican states are reopening? I bet you that if you take an election map on the upcoming election and compare it to this reopening map, it will very clearly tell the tale of the election.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
Okay, so if that's true,
I just remember this controversy, but GameStop said that they were an essential service. They were one of the last ones to shut down before everybody had the imposed lockdown.
and then they started curbside delivery as well.
But in some states, from what I understand, I think in Philly, a couple of their stores got their business license ripped for doing such a thing. So, like, are they going to get it back? Like, what's the story with that? I'm not sure if it'll affect it, but.
I mean, so here's the U.S. Is it possible to adjust this so that I'm just looking at data from the past couple days? I mean, what's interesting here is the areas that are staying locked down, like New York, LA, like those are still the major outbreak centers. But anywhere where you're drawing this where there's not major outbreaks, like these large swaths of low outbreak, those are ones that are reopening. And I'm wondering if these tiny little patches of outbreaks start to go further with these states reopening and not being on lockdown. Because it, like, across this area where it's not a massive breakout like Los Angeles, you're seeing these little pockets of red where it's like, okay, there are outbreaks happening here, but they're isolated. Do you see that isolation expanding because we're not in lockdown? Have they stayed isolated because of the lockdown?
I want to say no, because their population density isn't as thick as like something like, if you were to go to, I don't know, some nowhere town in like Ohio, for example, it's gonna be vastly different from like downtown LA.
Right, but southern Texas is fairly well populated. Right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like, I've never been to Texas, so.
Dallas, Fort Worth, down into the Houston area, like that's fairly well populated, and they've had isolated outbreaks by county, but they haven't really had a statewide flow of cases. Chicago has the worst case outbreak by county. Then it's New York, New York, New York. New Jersey. Oh, New York is doing partial reopening. New York is going to open their beaches. Curbside retail, manufacturing, construction, outdoor recreation. They are opening beaches. That just seems...
Still reopen, right? Still, like, doing social distancing and stuff?
Every photo I have seen of every area that says we are going to do social distancing and everything once we reopen is bullshit. Within 15 minutes of a store opening, the thing is packed. There is no social distancing. There are no lines. There's no separation. People are crowded together, and it just doesn't work. So if the store is open, I'm not buying that shit.
Costco used to have that issue too, but they started doing this thing where, I'm not sure if people are going to start mimicking them, where they started limiting the amount of people that are going into stores, which, you know, as a customer, people get really pissy and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't see... I see it as an actually good solution, because it's not like they're rushing through the entire place. They are slowly going through, and then they're more mindful of their distance with one another. Plus, I wonder how many people go there and see, like, oh my god, this line's like monstrous. I'm not gonna go here.
Markets are open on Monday in the States, right?
Yeah. It's just Canada. We have our Canadian Independence Day. No, sorry.
Victoria Day. Yeah.
I got messed up there.
Yeah, July is our... Okay, so... MFA is doing their Q1 earnings call Tuesday. Yeah, I think everything that I'm seeing here with GameStop is showing that they are back on the uptick for sales into the end of April, and that's even with people talking about economic reopening, right? Like, I see this isn't showing any sign of declining below 1,000% increase on online sales. I think that we still see this go, and I mean, oh, I know one reason why this took off is because 30% of their sales is from Nintendo, right? And Nintendo had what is it called?
You said that they like this is an internal statistic against themselves, but they're late to the game. Are they just comparing smaller statistics to themselves to make it look like they have inflated numbers? Because if, like, for example, if I only ever sold 3 things online, and suddenly I sell, 13 things online, compared to someone like someone else selling 100 things online, by percentage wise, I have a drastic increase compared to that other retailer that sells like 100 units every single time.
Let's see. I've got their Q2 sales here for 2019. Yeah, they don't break down in their filings online versus in-store.
Because if they do, like we need for me, I need a bar of measure to see if they're actually like they're increasing online sales. Because again, they were pretty late to the game. If they say they have a 1,000% increase compared to someone else, well, that person might the person who's been selling the longest should be the bar of measure. If they are declining in sales, if their average sales is like I was saying, like 100 units, and you suddenly go from like 3 to 13 or something, you will have a bigger percentage increase, and it's just playing with the numbers. Like you still undersell what they sell, but in terms of percentage increase and the shock value, you would think that I'm the better player because 1,000% here.
So they had a really weak Christmas last year, which makes this number really easy for them to beat on their earnings, right? Okay, so I see them beating on earnings Q2. They'll miss on earnings for Q3. They'll beat on earnings for Q4, and they'll beat on earnings for the year. That makes them attractive. I think I'm okay with where I am, GameStop. I think I might, yeah. Yep. At the very least, I think they're worth more than $4.
I mean, Burry had it at what, 27?
Yeah, I think they're worth more than $4.
I'm wondering if Burry's doing this whole tactic where it's essentially you're kind of market making, but you still float the loss. It's just that any sort of you position yourself to where you are able to like it's essentially you're able to you have to eat the loss, but you get yourself down to an average position without really compromising your entire position, and you benefit from any sort of rise. And the way they did it was that, for example, you have the stock A or whatever example you want to use. Stock A, you bought it at $20. It's down at $10 now. You're like, oh shit, that sucks. I just lost half my value of my stock, and I have like 100,000 shares in that thing. Now you're down $10 on 100,000 shares, so that's about $1 million in the hole. what these market makers used to do, and I'm not sure. I really think Burry's above doing this, but this is more of a high frequency / market maker thing where obviously there's always a bid and ask. There's always a bid ask spread. What you would do is you would offload, let's say 100 shares or 1,000 shares, whatever the stock's able to take, at 10.01, and then you rebuy anything at $10. So you're just trying to like essentially just keep trying to make these micro profits to get your dollar cost down without really wiping out your entire position. And what this does is that it's like if you're floating that $10 loss, when you have that loss, you're still incurring that loss, but without you're still holding on to that loss, but you're moving your average price down, which is actually good, because once your average price is down, you just need a very modicum of a jump up. If it doesn't jump up, then you can keep market making that all here and there, no problem in between that range, and eventually you will become profitable. You will get past that point to where you're unprofitable and start making very micro profits. But where you make your majority of your money is when the stock actually jumps up just a little bit, because you basically dollar cost average your stock without actually having to really add more shares into that position.
Right, yeah, and I mean, I get that. Like, it's easier to influence a $4 stock than a $20 stock, for sure. So this is an article from earlier, or back in 2019, when he took his initial position. And he wants them to continue their buyback policy. He likes their balance sheet. It looks good as far as cash on hand, so we knew that. Also noted the expected inclusion of disk drives in next-generation consoles will extend GameStop's life significantly as the retailer focuses on physical game sales.
The other factor I'm not sure about is that I forgot what it was called, but it was like it's like the Xbox game or library pass or something like that, where they were trying to make discs obsolete. Just
right.
Buy a subscription.
Right, but I think that's what he's getting to is that because the next-gen consoles do still have a physical component, GameStop is fine. You can still buy discs, right? Like the PS5 is going to come out with a disc drive. It's not like it's just a computer without any hardware capability. So he's saying that still gives GameStop sales. He likes... So this is it. Like these are the two plays that he's playing on. He likes their liquidity, but he also likes the next-gen console. It's those two things that are driving his interest. Okay, I like it. I hate that I am saying that, but I do like GameStop into Q1, I think.
Welcome to contrarian life.
I mean, just the numbers and the data on it. I think it's worth more than $4. I do.
Now the next question is, how much is it actually worth? What's the
right.
value for?
Right, and that's really hard to assess. The market's fickle, right? Like they're going to play stocks like this. Retail gets boosts on earnings, right? You have a phenomenal earnings, you do well. And their next earnings is going to come out at a time when the rest of the retail sector is completely shitting the bed.
How often do they release new consoles?
Every 4 years.
What's the PE on GM?
GameStop beat by 48 cents.
GameStop doesn't have a PE ratio?
Not seeing it on Koifin. Oh, PE right here.
Let's see.
40.3.
Holy shit, that's high.
What's the difference between LTM and NTM?
Beats me.
All right, time to learn what PE ratios are. Okay, PE, financial analysts use LTM and NTM, a number of valuations, last 12 months. Okay, last 12 months versus next 12 months. So their PE,
Last 12 was 40.
next 12 is 20.
Usually 20 is a healthy number, but obviously you want to see that PE grow. Buying opportunity? Question mark? Probably not, but question mark.
The interesting thing is, like, they're expecting sales to do better over the next 12 months than the previous 12. I mean, I think that this is showing that they're not going to completely go to hell. 20 is still reasonable for PE over the next 12 months. I think that that's a... What's the PE look like on...
I mean, in terms of a normal person reaction, obviously we saw that before, where it wasn't as bad as everybody thought it was. Therefore, it didn't, I guess, dump as hard as people expected it to.
They've got a better PE over the next 12 months than Best Buy and a comparable PE with Walmart. But that doesn't answer the question that we're trying to answer of, like, ballpark, what do we see this going to?
And you're gonna make me launch my flashlight.
Yes, sir. We're gonna nail this one down before I head out of here today. So I mean, that rise in April on news of online sales drove this thing to almost double the value. So it was at 250. Yeah, 257, and by the end of April, its high was 650. It's currently at 420. I mean, I think that this actually may have a price range of... I think we might see it return to its June 2019. Like, I think we might see it go up to that $7. No, the June before the drop in June. I think we see it go back to where it was before that drop in June. I think we see it go up to that $7.50, $7.75, $8 range. Which, I mean, as far as an equity play, if you're looking at a close to 100% increase, that's not terrible.
My uneducated, uncertified, very stupid, normal person, not a financial advisor, guess somewhere around, I want to say under $7, maybe $7.50 to be more conservative.
Right, so I mean, $7.50, that's still a 75% increase over 3 months. I don't see it declining. I think is the big thing for me that makes me positive on this. Is like I don't see it going down.
This thing consistently paid out. Oh wait, no, except for that blank period in 2014, 2015. It's been consistently paying dividends and increasing it too. Even in its decline, it still maintained its dividend, which is really, really weird.
What is the yield on their dividend?
It's not telling me right now, but I'm looking at it. It's like they started with like 15 cents back in 2012, all the way to 2014. They kept increasing it even after the crash it had in 2013, around 2013. Increased from like 15 to 30, 33, so almost two-time increase. And then they stopped it for 2014, 2015. Brought it back and increased it again at 36, and it's all the way at 38 now. Let me look at the. It says it's about a 9% right now.
9% yield. I don't want to hold this long term, but if I can get, it's a quarterly dividend or annual.
Quarter. So it started with 2.6 from 2012 to 2014. It ranged between 2.6 to as high as 5.4, and then 2015 to 2019 we got. It says quarterly, but it looks like they paid out 1 year, one-time dividend in 2015, but 3.5% in 2015. 2016 saw between 4.6 and 6%. 2017, it says it's a quarter, but it looks like it's annual actually.
Do you see when the payout is?
Payout date is usually 2 weeks afterwards. It looks like after the date they declared, and it's all over the place because first time it was like 2/8 of February, and then 8/16, and then 8/16. What was that? That was in August. Then another February one, and then another May one. And then this one's in November. This is March, November, March, February. November, March, Feb, March. So it seems like if they were to pay a dividend this year, they would have already paid it.
And because right, so and because they haven't, that leaves the potential open for a Q4 or a February payout, because February keeps coming up again and again and again. There is a divvy tab above the chart. The issue is with that, they don't currently have a dividend listed.
It seems like, and I'm just guessing this, but the reason why it's in February is because there is a they're just paying out the extra money they made off the Christmas sales.
Yeah, okay. So increasing position in this would give me access to that dividend. So I get a little bit on that. It won't be huge, but I get something additional on that on top of whatever the stock does on its gains, right? Pricing it at ballpark with my non-professional, completely opinionated, not backed by any solid education guess, it would be, I think it's higher. I think it's the $8 mark, but even $7.50. I think, yeah. I mean, if I told you to give me $4, or if I told you to give me $1 today, $100 today, and I would give you $175 in Christmas, would you give me $100? Chat, what do you think? If I told you, you give me $100 today and I could give you $175 back, would you take that deal? If you just had to wait till Christmas. You give me $100 in Christmas, I write you a Christmas card that says, "Dear chat, here's $175. Thank you for your $100." Would you do that?
I mean, honestly, like, it's money that you've never seen before. I don't know if it's a guarantee. It's not a guarantee, obviously, but
There are no guarantees.
I mean, if you had an extra $100, I mean, it's if I had an extra $100, I'd probably just go to Costco and buy some food.
Ginny wants to know if we can play board games tonight.
Take care of expenses. Do that thing first. Be responsible.
I bought pork chops. They're marinating. And corn.
Great. So you're gonna wrap the corn in season?
Mm-hmm.
Use that red Cajun red pepper mix on it last time, and it worked out pretty well. So we'll smoke that. I mean, the chat's like, GameStop is still scary. GameStop is scary, and I'm there, but like I've done enough due diligence on it. I'm okay with it into Q2 of next year as far as like the business side of stuff. The thing is, like, with increasing sales and 500 million on hand, they're not going bankrupt before Q2. So that concern is gone. My only concern is if they see some kind of significant gain, they do an offering, right? All right. Can you see if you have any news on the halt with MBRX? I can't seem to find anything on that. The halt was supposed to end last night, right? Okay, this is interesting. May 15th, this Two Sigma Securities was able to grow their position of MBRX.
MBRX in the portfolio.
They already had MBRX in their portfolio, but it says they added positions on the 15th.
Well, I did see the price keep moving, but how did they move this while it was halted? It has to be a private.
It's a private sale of the stock?
I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility, but I did see it moving like every day or whatever, but it just didn't. It didn't. It didn't flash the prices or anything like that, but it would still update on the price. It kept moving in like a 2 cent range from what I saw. I don't know if it was just quotes or if it was just going off quotes or if it was just someone's actually taking, I guess, going to the people, going to someone and saying like, "Hey, I'll take your MBRX shares."
Yeah, because it's got listed. It's listed at 107 right now, but I don't think that that's accurate. Have you heard of 2 Sigma? Is that a thing?
I keep thinking 2 Sigma is Goldman, but Goldman's like Sigma X or something like that. And that is their automated trading system.
It says that they're a $4.2 billion portfolio. That's not bad, right? Like, that's not a small portfolio.
They have 60 billion under management.
So why would you acquire stock that's halted if you didn't think it was going to... They clearly think it's going to reopen, right, on Monday?
Yeah. I'd imagine it's something that us public marketers can't do.
They're getting out of SPY, QQQ. They don't like XLE. They don't like XLK. They don't like... Yeah, they exited a whole ton of positions, but they're adding... Okay, so I mean, that's positive news for MBRX, right?
I mean, them being unhalted, yeah, but I still feel like there needs to be a catalyst to kind of get it to jump, because if it just gets unhalted, it just gets unhalted. It's not really significant or shocking. It'll just go back to it generally, historically, based on my opinion and my observation, in terms of like risky investments, they usually go back to the price of where they were, because the old game was basically you would find companies that are being investigated, and then you would typically theoretically buy in at that point, knowing full well that investigation is bunk. And then once that investigation lifts, it's supposed to go back to its original price. But I don't know, in this day and age, if there's damage done, even an accusation can kill you, right?
Yeah, I'm just taking them reopening as confirmation that because they were closed on the report, the SEC wanted to do their due diligence on the report that their drug had a 100% rate of success with COVID. So I'm wondering if them reopening on Monday gives the market that assurance, and what we see is MBRX do something similar to what SRNE did. Because SRNE made a similar claim. They had less proof, less medical studies, less proof. And they'd only done in vitro, but not in vitro and in vitro. And they spiked from $2.60 to $8 at one point.
I mean, I'm a little against SRNE because a certain person played it, and I'm not saying that this group is big enough to supposedly pump and dump this sort of thing. I'm just saying that there's a lot of people there that would have, I guess, monetary interest.
Yeah, the whole market got on the bandwagon with SRNE for sure, and I think that the SEC and the FDA are going to take a look at them for that. I wouldn't be surprised to hear SRNE halted sometime soon. But I think that they might actually get delisted because they didn't have peer reviews, they didn't have medical studies backing what they claimed. But MBRX has all that. I wonder.
Maybe they just don't care about the facts, they just care about the hype. Space.
Well, that's definitely what that play was. I mean, that's what happened on Friday. It was the hype on SRNE. It wasn't the hype. It wasn't the actual medical study because they didn't actually release a medical report. I looked for it. They didn't have one. You definitely can't make the claim that SRNE was on medical data because there's no report for us to look at. Yeah, I mean, this is it. Like, they're already... So, the news earlier in the week was... So, May 13th, Sorrento expects negative earnings. They expect to do poorly on their earnings. That's on the 13th. Then on the 15th, SRNE comes out and tries to spam journalists with this report of their COVID thing. And the journalist's message was, this is just a dumb pitch. Nobody's going to print this. And so they just paid for a press release themselves to push it out. Yeah, they haven't even submitted this for freaking peer review. Like, they... Ugh. Everything about this process is just what they did is, if not fraudulent, at least. I mean, what's it called when you release data that it's unverified, that hasn't been verified by anybody?
I want to just say it's hearsay and conjecture, but it's just unsubstantiated claims.
Right. Yeah. Which is, I mean, that could be construed as misleading the market, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys, it has been an absolute blast. Thank you so much for everybody who swung through here. Had an amazing time hanging out with you guys. I am going to probably cut the stream now. I think I've had enough time to break down. At least I got through GameStop and MBRX. Looks like it has some good news for next week. Portfolio did pretty well this past week. I'm happy with the direction, the positions that I took. Gains on most of my exits. I did take a small loss on one, but I would rather have the funds in GameStop given the research that we did. So I'm happy with that. Huge thank you to everybody that swung through to watch, though. Had an absolute blast. And I will catch you guys Monday morning, 4:30 a.m. with the early morning due diligence and stock reviews. So I will catch you then, guys. Take it easy.